Security forces clashed with those protesting against the vote, and according to various sources, hundreds were killed. The authorities have downplayed the scale of the violence and maintained the election was free and fair. Many people were arrested and have now been charged with treason at a court in the economic capital of Dar es Salaam. They were not being asked to enter a plea in court. During her inauguration speech, President Samia Suluhu Hassan condemned the violence and also blamed foreigners for stoking the unrest. Here is our cover report. Tanzania remains gripped by the aftermath of its worst post-election violence in decades. A crisis that has shaken its long-standing reputation as a beacon of peace and stability in Africa. It has also earned the country rare rebukes from regional and continental organizations. In a defiant inauguration speech, President Samia Suluhu Hassan says the election was fair and transparent, but acknowledged people had died during the protests. She blamed foreign actors for the deadly protests. The death toll is not clear, but families continue to search for or bury relatives killed following the recent disputed poll that Samia won with 98% of the vote.
Ndugu zangu wote tunaitakia mema nchi hii.
My fellow countrymen, we wish this nation well, and we are deeply saddened and disheartened by the incidents of violence that have led to loss of lives and destruction of public and private property in some areas of our country, especially in cities and towns. What has happened does not reflect the values and reputation of Tanzania, nor does it reflect the spirit of being Tanzanian.
Na sio utanzania.
The protests organized by young people drew clear parallels with global Gen Z-led mobilizations against entrenched leadership and unresponsive governments. Analysts say while the unrest was unprecedented for Tanzania, it was preceded by a tense political climate, marked by stalled reforms, years of simmering youth anger, power tussles within the ruling party, and the sustained persecution of opposition leaders.
It is not surprising to see that some of the young people who were arrested in connection with the violence are not from Tanzania. Our security and defense forces continue to follow up and investigate in greater detail what happened and to restore the country to the state we are accustomed to as quickly as possible.
Unlike others in the region, the CCM, or Chama cha Mapinduzi, which emerged from the Tanganyika African National Union, is a post-colonial liberation party that has maintained a firm grip not only on the levers of power but also on the nation's psyche. But it is the nature of this latest election that has exposed a shocking new side of Tanzania, a country long seen as protest-shy, especially when compared with neighboring Kenya. In the months preceding election day, the CCM government worked to systematically eliminate any credible competition, and that's according to analysts. The two main opposition leaders were blocked from contesting the poll. Tundu Lissu is in detention on treason charges, which he denies, while Luhanga Mpina's candidacy was rejected on technical grounds.
Again, Samia Suluhu has not been elected because there was no election in Tanzania on 29th. People were on the streets protesting the fraud staged elections. People were on the streets refusing to be taken for granted by the current regime. And therefore, what has been announced yesterday is completely illegitimate. And therefore, Samia Suluhu Hassan is an illegitimate president of Tanzania.
Election observers say the polls fell short of democratic standards, but the government insists the election was fair and transparent. President Samia faced little opposition, with key rival candidates either imprisoned or barred from running. Her inauguration ceremony was held at a military parade ground in the capital Dodoma instead of a stadium as in previous years. It was closed to the public but was shown live on state TV. She initially came into office in 2021 as Tanzania's first female president following the death of President John Magufuli, and was initially praised for easing political repression, but the political space has since narrowed. Tanzania and Kenya, which are both part of the Economic African Community or EAC, have experienced periodic political and economic tensions. Africa Bureau, WION, World is One. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.